This show is sponsored by ODYS Global. Make sure that you do sign up and get a free $100 bonus by checking out ODYS Global's Age Domains or Done For You affiliate websites.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 39 of SEO Tales, and in this episode we're going to be talking about voice, particularly within content marketing, because we all know content marketing is very vague. There's loads of different content forms, but in this episode we're going to narrow down on voice and discuss what we think of voice as a form of content marketing. So Craig, back in, I think it was June, Twitter, I believe, was the first social media platform to actually let people use voice and share it across their whole network. So they were using, or they introduced voice tweets. I don't know if you were using it or you heard about this or you saw it. What experience do you have with that kind of stuff?
So my experience is going to be slightly different from most of you. With anything, when it comes to voice, my language always poses a bit of a problem. And obviously when you do things like, I've tried voice to text translations, and I've tried drag and dictate over the years, and I've tried a number of different things. And obviously what I say and what actually gets formatted out has always been something completely different due to the thick accent and stuff like that. So that kind of puts me off of using that kind of thing. But I think, with Twitter, with anything else, like in my car or whatever, I can basically use, I can just press a button and I can speak what I want to text to people. And, through Apple Play or Apple Car or whatever the hell that thing's called in your car. And it's getting better. It's getting better for especially for me. So I don't make use of it, to be honest. But I think it's something that's we all use the likes of Alexa at home. Alexa, put on Post Malone or whatever. If you're listening to music or whatever you're into. So I think voice is going to play an important part in not only content, but just in life in general. Whether it's voice to text, voice to tweet, a voice to Alexa to tell it to switch on your heating. And I think obviously technology is improving, and I think in that respect it would be much easier if you're driving along or you're on a bus or whatever you might be doing, or on a train, and you get something to say and just do the tweet, just speak in and let Twitter put the tweet out. So I think in theory the concept is good, but I have steered clear of it just because of the language situation. But what about yourself? Have you played around with it?
Yeah, I can't even remember if I used voice tweets as on its own, just a tweet with just my voice. And it's interesting though, because voice as a form of content, there's so many different use cases for it. Like you were mentioning the ones with your Alexa devices, and that's with the kind of a virtual like home assistants and stuff like that. But then there's the other case, which is actually voice search, which is, let's say, people searching on their mobile phones for something using their voice. But then we've also got the thing where Twitter was introducing it, which is more for the social media side of things. So it's like you've got between the functionality of home assistants, you've got the functionality of voice search and also voice in social media. But the problem that I have, I think, with voice is that it's how do you make it look nice? Because when you think about voice tweets, it's just that you've just got the play button, right? You don't know what's going to be playing when you click that. I think the fundamental difference between, we say voice and other types of content like text, images, videos, is that all of those things have that aesthetic part of it. They have an aesthetic feature to it, which makes it attractive to people, but also they do get some context. So let's say if it's just that play button, there is absolutely no context to what's going to be, to what you're going to hear when you press play. It could be absolutely anything. So,
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking of crazy things I could troll people with, actually.
No, you could, yeah.
But here's a funny story, right? Now, obviously, we get WhatsApp messages and stuff like that from friends as well. And you know what it's like. You just see the play button, you press play, and it could be you saying, "Hey, Craig, what you up to? I can't be asked texting just now." Or it could be something different. I remember my wife was just about to have Charlie, and we were in hospital for one of those checkups. And I don't know if you remember the voice clips that everyone was sending, or video clips that you click on it and it would have like Cristiano Ronaldo's face on there, but then it would be like someone having sex, you know, the big, you know, the screeching noise. And I remember sitting in the hospital, and the guy had clearly pressed play, and the kind of big sex noise came out of his phone in a waiting room full of pregnant women and their husbands. And you could just see the guy's face just went so red. And he's like, "Oh, man, somebody's done me with one of those stupid messages." And he's showing it to everyone. I'm like, "It's cool, man. I've been done with that 100 times." But that's the danger. That type of thing is the danger that you can face. Just, you know, people having a bit of banter and a bit of fun, and you're listening to it, and it could be anything.
I mean, well, first of all, I don't open any kind of voice thing that you ever send me or any videos for that particular reason. But I think, you know, but that's an interesting part of it as well, because if that is going to be used on social media, how is that going to be monitored? Like, how do you moderate when somebody is going to be sharing a piece of content that's only their voice? Because, you know, is AI and things like, are these platforms smart enough to be able to analyze what's being said in that voice thing before it's being sent out to the public? Because I suppose if you think about YouTube, for instance, if there's pornography on YouTube, they can detect that. They have great ways of detecting it because of obviously machine learning, and it's because it's visual as well. But if it's something that's just audio, you know, how is Twitter going to be detecting if somebody's, breaching their terms of service, for instance, and they're using voice to facilitate that? So I don't know if that could be a cause of concern for these platforms or for users in general, just because you don't have the context, you don't know what you're getting into. But then also it's like, you know, is this the easiest way to communicate to your fans on social media, just by, you know, speaking with your voice? Isn't it easier for people to just read or to watch? And the thing with videos as well, people like videos, especially when they've got subtitles on them, so they don't actually need to turn the volume on. Because if they have the subtitles, they can be on a bus or something, or let's say they don't have headphones or whatever, they can still consume that content and they don't necessarily need to turn the volume on for. But you can't listen to a voice tweet with your volume off. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, how, you know, do you think it's a good idea that Twitter, I suppose, introduced that? Or what would you think of voice in general for social media?
I think, to be honest, it's stupid. You know, from a spam point of view, yeah, it's going to be stupid. You know, I could go on yours, you could retweet it thinking or hoping that I'm going to say something nice about you. And I basically said, "To all Itamar's followers, he's a donkey, come over and see me," you know, something like that. And you know, the thing that goes with that, again, with my accent and stuff like that, and various people with funny accents, is the platform's going to be able to pick up everything? Probably not. I don't think they're probably clever enough to do that kind of thing very well. And I think it's opening up a whole bunch of potential spam, trolling, and enough of that goes on social media already. And I think, you know, we're always looking for ways to become lazier, if you like, as human beings. You know, voice messages on Twitter. And I think I like the old format of Twitter, where you just see something or a video or whatever it's going to be, and someone's put a bit of time and effort into it. A bit like, you know, when we put out SEO Tales, it will say like SEO Tales episode 38 on Twitter, and there's a wee thumbnail and all that. It just buys a bit of trust. For me, having lots of, you know, friends who like to have a good laugh and a good troll, you know, I'm probably similar to you. There's certain guys who I just wouldn't even click on a video from, because I know it's going to be absolutely, you know, disgusting or something just so stupid. And that is what you're up against. And I think social medias have to probably look at curbing the trolling and people's ability to just sign up for social media, like blindly. There's no verification of, really who you are. You shouldn't be allowed to, do anything without putting your face on there and stuff like that, because a lot of that stuff's faceless. And once they implement something like that, then of course, maybe look at technology. But I think they've got other things they could be doing first, rather than rolling out something like this, which I think is potentially going to do more harm than good, spammy wise, bullying wise, just malicious wise. I think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree with a lot of those points. I think in terms of, maybe voice messages and stuff, yeah, I think it's better suited for just the direct messaging platforms, like on your WhatsApps or, your DMs on Instagram or the Snapchats or whatever it might be. But I think, when that kind of stuff is being used on a public domain, especially if you tweet somebody or something like that, and they'll be able to see it in their mentions and all that kind of stuff, and loads of other people can see it, and you don't know what it is. I feel like that's the kind of problem there. So, I'm not surprised entirely why lots of people didn't really adopt that kind of feature for voice tweets, because there's, well, it was mid-crisis, I suppose, middle of last year, so maybe that could have had an effect as well. But I think, people don't really like too much change sometimes. And I feel like that's kind of like a massive step to take for a social media platform to, introduce a kind of feature where, people really do sometimes like it when it's simple, and, stick to what they're good at, I suppose. So, yeah, maybe it wasn't the right play, but it'd be interesting to know, the people who are watching now, if they've used voice tweets and what kind of experience they have with it.
Yeah, I think, as I said at the start, with my language and stuff like that, I'm just not. I mean, I know it's not translating it to text with that, but that's why I've always kind of stayed away from the voice thing, anyway, in general, because I think it's not good. But I think if you're just sending clips, it's just encouraging laziness as well. I think, we don't need to be that lazy. I know Deepak Shukla, who I talk to quite a lot in WhatsApp, he's just like sitting in the toilet pan and just like, yeah, what are you up to, mate? And you're just like, fuck, you can't be bothered texting. So I think it just encourages a lot of laziness, but it's good. It's good to communicate, if you're on the go or walking around and you can't be bothered texting, or you're walking and you just can't physically do it. I think it's good in certain instances, but not for Twitter. I think it's just stick to what you're doing, Twitter, and I'm not sure how effective Twitter really is. I know you quite enjoy Twitter, but I'm just not sure it's the best platform out there. I think it's kind of dying. If I'm honest, out of all the social media platforms, I think Twitter is probably the one I personally use the least. And I also think that in general, I've heard a few people saying, Twitter will die off soon enough. It's just not engaging enough. It's just not that good anymore. More people are swaying towards Instagram, Facebook, and even just apps like WhatsApp and stuff like that. So, but I know they've got to try and come up with some ideas to try and make it a bit more engaging, but I'm just not sure that's the right one.
Yeah, I think it could have just been a way to try and stay relevant, I suppose. New features, some things new, it's trendy, but it can't always work. And I guess that's an example of just how even massive social media platforms, not just because they're not just going to be super popular features just because it's them that they themselves that released it, if that makes sense. So I don't know whose suggestion it was. Maybe they got fired. Maybe didn't. I don't know. But I mean,
I think in life, people have just got to try things out. Some will bomb, some won't, and some will do really well. So kudos to them for trying things out, and maybe, maybe it's just us being a bit skeptical and stuff like that, because we're digital marketers and we know what sort of roguery goes on, in the kind of marketing space. Maybe it will work reasonably well for other people, just the general public. But I just think for me personally, I'm just not buying into it at all. But who's to say we're right? That's the thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why obviously, leave a comment if what you think about, I guess, voice tweets were from Twitter. But yeah, I guess we can wrap up this episode. So thanks everyone for watching this episode. We'll catch you next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe to both myself and Craig's channels, and we'll see you in the next episode.